What's going on, everybody? What is going on? It is Tuesday, October the 1st, 2024, and we are back with another live here on the Torian Rain Reloaded channel. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to go ahead and hit that like button, hit that share button, hit the hit the share. If you are new to the channel, welcome. Hit the bell twice to be notified whenever I upload a new video or go live, or just simply join the Discord, which I have pinned at the top. And y'all know whenever I have the Discord pin at the top, that means this is one of those streams where I will be dropping the link in the Discord in the StreamYard server. So if anyone would like to come up and speak to this topic, you can feel free to do so. Shout out to everybody who is not going to be able to catch this in real time. So shout out to the replay gang. Shout out to the mods. Shout out to everybody on Patreon. And if you are on Patreon, y'all will be getting a new video at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So be on the lookout for that. Shout out to everybody on X and Instagram as well. But before we get into everything, let me go ahead and acknowledge the people who are here so far in the chat. We have Wallow J, Firebat, Hacksign KT, Denise Scales, Perspective, Bills Fan 1970, Shakur, Silla T, 7, Maki, Jay the Informant, Black, Tina Thomas, Kid Gravity, Cloudy Shayton 19, Damon Reeves, Doc Spencer, Tina Thomas. I'm gonna acknowledge that that membership after I go through the names, KG. Tawana, Stay Positive, DC Precise, Celebrity Style Magazine, Doc Spencer, Denise Scales, Michelle, who else? Nosage, and that is it so far. And shout out to KG for being a member for 30 months. He says today is National Raccoon Appreciation Day. Shout out to your favorite COON. I didn't even know they had a day. And now that I know, I want to throw up. Oh, 7, today's your birthday? 7, I didn't. Oh, it. Okay. Oh, in that case, shout out to 7. Today is her birthday. Make sure y'all say happy birthday to 7 in the chat. I didn't know today is your birthday. Shout out to you. Also, before we get into this, let me give. I already posted it up on my community tab. Let me give an RIP to the legendary and iconic John Amos. He passed away at the age of 84. Now, a lot of people went online and they said, "Wait a minute, something seems off because it's reported that he passed away, but it's saying that he died back in August." Well, apparently that is true. His family did not want or didn't put out there that he did pass away back in August. So the man has been dead for over a month. It's just that we are just now finding out about it. But either way, we lost a legend. We lost an icon. You know, definitely this man's resume goes back very, very far. If we didn't grow up watching him, our parents sure did. Now, so I'm sure some people in the chat that did grow up watching him on television and movies. But for those of us who weren't able to catch him in his early prime years, we caught the reruns. But yeah, he definitely has a very lengthy resume. But RIP to that man, one of the greatest TV dads. Like when they talk about black TV dads in sitcoms and stuff, or just in general, he's always going to be in that top 5 for sure. And he's usually a lot of times number 1. So definitely RIP to John Amos and condolences to his family. But now we are going to get into this article right here that I came across last week. And I said, oh, I'm saving this one. I definitely got to talk about this one because, oh, this is not a good look coming from the Harris campaign. And all of you shills out there, I'm surprised. You know what? Let me take that back. I'm not surprised that any of you did not bring this up. And I wanted to confirm that what I was sharing was actually true. Now, I'm sharing where the original article came from, where I saw it first. But then what I did was I typed in some keywords into Google, and this is a legit article. Like it's not an op-ed. It's actually a supported article with actual quotes from people. One of them being the president of the NAACP. And I actually pulled the article up again, but it was on the Atlanta Black Star. So the flunkies, like it says in the title, the flunkies are going broke. Seven says that picture is funny. Hey, listen, I try to find, when it talks about certain people, I try to find the most unflattering image of them, if that makes sense. So I called it the flunkies are going broke because apparently they are. Now y'all get out here and y'all do all this stumping and y'all can barely support yourselves. Could not be me. Shay Shell says, "Did you hear about the legacy emission bill being passed?" I did not hear about that, but you've actually given me something to want to look into after this live, because we've been talking about that, with affirmative action for the last year or so. So thank you for letting me know. As a matter of fact, let me go ahead and write that down so I don't forget. Let me see, legacy emissions bill, because I will forget. I promise you that. And I'll look into that after the stream is over. So this is coming from a website called notus.org, and it was posted September 24th, 2024. So it was posted last week. It says Black operatives are furious over how Kamala Harris's campaign is spending money. And I find that this happens quite often, not just with, one particular political party, but it happens across the board when money becomes an issue. It says minority-owned firms are frustrated. The campaign is relying on white-owned firms for spending, and they are worried that could ultimately hurt the campaign with quote-unquote voters of color, aka Black folks. They just don't want to put it, but let's just be real with ourselves here. That's what they're talking about. And let me acknowledge, someone sent me a Cash App. Shout out to Stay Positive for the Cash App. I appreciate that.
You ain't gotta be a dope boy to have money.
Appreciate it. Andre, you're not late. I haven't even really gotten to the article yet. I just read the title and the subheading. But we about to go ahead and get into it now. Okay, so it was written up by these two women, Jasmine Wright and Nua Doby, if I'm pronouncing her name correctly. It says Derek Johnson, the president of the NAACP, was frustrated after a call with Kamala Harris's campaign early last month. It says early last month. Remember, this article was written on September 24th, 2024. So early last month was anytime like the first week of August, somewhere in that range. So they're just now getting around to talking about this. He and others on the call felt they hadn't got a clear answer to something that has mystified leaders in Congress, co-chairs of the campaign, and donors. Why did it seem like minority-owned political firms that typically work with Democratic campaigns aren't getting as much of the record-breaking Harris campaign money as white-owned firms? And just on that paragraph alone, especially with how it ended off, you gonna have all these shills still talking down on us like y'all don't have this going on in the background. Y'all literally are taking a back seat. Y'all are literally being used as props, and you're not getting anything monetary out of the deal. But y'all can go out there and continue to shill if you want to. Could not be me. If Black voters are the base, it should be Black vendors telling the story, said one person familiar with the conversation with the nonpartisan group's leader. And by the time the call finished, we still didn't really have any clear answers on anything. I hope y'all didn't forget. I'm not talking about y'all in the chat, but I'm talking about the Black operatives. That back in 2020, this woman said I wasn't going to do anything that specifically benefited Black people. Why didn't y'all get the memo then? The conversation with Quentin Fulks, Harris's principal deputy campaign manager, though cordial, was so far from any resolution that Johnson vowed to take the issue higher. Three people told Not Us to someone who could answer how money is being spent and whether it is being spent equitably. Democrats are worried about the backslide they appear to be having with some Black voters, and some, I'm going to go ahead and say it. It's more than just some. They keep saying some, but that's soft showing it. It's a lie. Let's be real with ourselves here. It's not just some. Some is a complete understatement. It's a lot. It says, in black vendors and their allies see an obvious solution. Spend more money with the political class who actually know the most about the constituency and can adeptly tell Harris's story. But minority vendors and media companies believe the Harris campaign is taking operatives of color for granted and failing to spread around the lucrative contracts white-owned firms are getting. Now, keep in mind, they keep saying of color, of color, of color. When they're saying that consistently, that's also telling me that it's not just the black ones that are being affected, but they're affecting all the other ones who aren't under the category of white, which also tells me too that if they was to give out and spread the wealth, quote unquote, evenly, the black operatives would most likely get the crumbs as usual. But y'all can go and do that intersectional thing if you want to. It's an issue that Democratic campaigns have dealt with for decades. No surprise there. And those close to Harris say she inherited the current problems from Joe Biden. And allies say Harris has repeatedly told aides that she wanted to spend more money on minority vendors and get out the vote operations. The vision of the vice president is to make sure that with all the money that's being raised that she can reach voters, said Mignon Moore, a close advisor to Harris and the 2024 Democratic Convention chair. And certainly it is important to hear to her that she reaches voters through the lens of people that can communicate with them. That's why we go to trusted voices. That is her value system. That is who she has been. And I'm sure that is the directive that the campaign is getting. Nada spoke with more than a dozen vendors, outside advisors, and campaign staffers of all races for this story. And most say any directive hasn't been actualized. The result doesn't just imperil the bottom lines for minority-owned consulting companies, which typically rely on presidential campaigns to stay afloat in the off years. It's also impacting the campaign's outreach to the communities that the firms reflect, they say. Now, let's go back to let's go back a few months. Do y'all remember a few months ago, back in March, when the Republicans or the conservatives had that minority outreach program? Who remembers that? I did a video about it. They had a quote unquote minority outreach program. And what happened to that minority outreach program? It got gutted. But when I was reading the article, I kept seeing Latino here, Hispanic there, south of the Borderian here, Mexican there. They said them so much to the point where I would think that the outreach program was geared mainly toward them. They only mentioned black people and I think Asians one time in that whole article, which tells me again, even with that so-called minority outreach program that they had, the black people who were there got the short end of the stick. Much like what it sounds like is happening here. What have I told y'all? Left wing, right wing, conservative, liberal, Democrat, Republican. Two wings attached to the same buzzard. If you are a black person and you out here stumping for a lot of these people, you are not getting anything out of the deal. And by anything, I mean the real stuff. And shout out to We Next, aka DSB, for gifting 5 memberships. We got Black Atham, Lady For Real, Roots Trackers, RLH, and Double C for becoming members for the next 30. And I appreciate it, DSB.
Welcome to the Brotherhood.
In so many words, Doc Spencer, yes, they were basically, how can I call it? The diversity hire. In so many words, they were the diversity hire. Much like it's seeming was going on right here. Let's continue. Last time there was a better perspective, said one Democratic operative close to the campaign. When asked about how the campaign used money to court black voters, it's not just the media, it's the get out the vote operations and grassroots operations. It's 20 questions now when it comes to anything for black spending. And what we're talking about are a small fraction of what's being spent for the general market. It's getting pretty insulting. Some feel that there's too few people inside the campaign advocating for black spending. That's the only major pressure is coming from the outside. And the most damning charge is that a campaign led by the first black, they keep doing this, the first black and South Asian woman. I mean, if fine, they're going to keep saying that until the wheels fall off. To win the party's nomination is marching into the final 40 days of the election with less money invested in black outreach and black firms than Biden had in 2020. Now, peep that. The so-called first black and South Asian presidential nominee has less black outreach than the current president. Y'all, when that woman said she wasn't going to do anything specifically for black people, I don't know how y'all missed that. That's some, as they call, nasty work. This is this is why we call her the chameleon, y'all. This is why we call her that. But the Harris campaign is running a different race than Biden last cycle. No kidding. The pandemic forced campaigns to rely more on paid media because of the inability to have a semblance of the traditional ground game that exists now. This year's budget is allocated to include all expenditures, paid media, GOTV, and field operations. Cedric Richmond, co-chair of both the now defunct Biden campaign and current Harris campaign, said this criticism should be spread out all across the Democratic Party and not laid solely at the vice president's feet. In an interview set up by the campaign, he pushed back against any notion that aides are taking black operatives for granted and brushed off concerns. Everybody who said it's not about money, that is a lie. It's all about money, he told Not Us. They're making noise because they want money and want a contract, and that's fair. It's fine, and they should just say that. Now, that's coming from the co-chair of the Biden campaign that's no longer active because he's not running again in the current Harris campaign. So I'm not surprised that that's what this dude Cedric is coming out and saying. You know, he got to stay on the payroll. He's basically telling people, just call it like it is. Just say that you want more money and stop beating around the bush. But one senior Democrat close to the campaign rejected that comment. Black people and black donors, they've been raising millions of dollars. This is not a handout for anything. This is about acknowledging the role of the black vote in a race that is essentially tied. And the spending or lack thereof fits into a pattern of Democrats taking the constituencies necessary to win for granted, they say. It's a little concerning to see that the spending is so much less, so far lower. I think it's approximately 1/4 less than what it was at this point 4 years ago. One Democrat consultant close to the Harris-Walz campaign said about black paid media. We skated by in 2020, and we're not spending at the levels we were spending at then. After spending over $70 million on paid media for black audiences in 2020, the campaign is on track to spend considerably less this time around. Polls show Democrats have lost significant ground with black voters this cycle, particularly when Biden was atop the ticket. Harris's candidacy and momentum appear to have helped regain some support. An August poll from the Associated Press found that nearly half of the black respondents said they were either extremely or very excited about Harris, a jump from March when only 30% said the same for Biden. But operatives across the Democratic diaspora fear the campaign isn't spending enough to turn that uptick in enthusiasm into actual votes, as 1 in 4 black men under 50 supports Trump for president per a NAACP poll this month. And in battleground states, overall black voters are going 82% for Harris from a Howard University poll earlier this year. In 2020, black voters supported Biden by 92% per the Pew Research Center. Harris has a compelling story to tell, said Adrian Shropshire, executive director of Black PAC, which targets Black voters. Her group was named one of 13 independent groups critical of Harris's success in November, a nod from the campaign to donors to fund outside groups as a part of their strategy to reach Black voters, a campaign official said. And the question that remains is, can they reach enough voters, particularly those voters who remain not just skeptical, but continue to question whether or not their participation in our elections matter? You want to know what's so interesting that they ask that question right here? Is they always like to ask that question periodically. If you have to ask that question like that consistently on a periodic basis, that probably means you don't have the support. You probably don't have the support that you think you do. That's why I said, come November the 5th, when this election is over, whenever they become available, I need to see those exit poll demographics. That's one of the main things I want to see after this election is done. It is October the 1st, y'all. We are almost exactly a month away from this election. I can't wait till KG does that 12-hour live stream. Citing recent ads on Black radio, other investments in Harris's sit down with the National Association of Black Journalists, Shropshire added to the campaign. They very clearly understand, I think, the need to increase the communications they're having with Black voters. We've seen the so-called communications that they've been having, and they've been falling flat. Many across the party who not spoke with blamed the situation on folks who described as unresponsive to internal and external requests. He's territorial and with how paid media is conducted and how decisions are made, others have said. And ultimately, he is inexperienced in paid media. Folks has been asked repeatedly by high-ranking officials of the campaign to release more money from the budget to go to Black firms who handle Black outreach, most say often to no avail. The first, second, and third response from him is no on everything. Whatever you put forward, it's no. It's not even necessarily considered. Just reflexively, it's no, said one vendor. Others had also chided campaign manager Jen O'Malley Dillon, who they say ultimately has final say over the budget and bears the most responsibility for who or is not getting paid. Many also fault digital media head Rob Flaherty, who operatives say is allowing white-owned firms to place digital ads for the Black community, once a taboo for Democratic campaigns. So as you can see right here, they're passing the blame around a lot. That's what they're literally doing right now. They're basically playing hot potato with the blame game. Really, all of them hold some kind of blame, if you ask me. Leading Democrats like campaign co-chair Marsha Fudge and Congressional Black Caucus Chair Stephen Horsford have also privately expressed their concern about who is getting campaign money and which businesses are being empowered. So has Richmond, two sources familiar with the conversations told Not Us. Asked if he privately expressed his concerns to the campaign, Richmond did not say no. I'll say it this way. I'm trying to win a race, and I believe we have touched voters. We have to touch Black voters and brown voters. There they go. There it is. There's Black and brown, because you know they can't have one without the other. I mean, they can, but they just choose not to. We have to touch them with the people with the expertise to connect with them, he said. So I have been very dogged on making sure that's what we are trying to do. Just last week in a meeting with folks, senior members of the CBC asked for a sizable investment from the campaign to cover incumbent candidate protection and get out the vote efforts, similar to the $25 million that the campaign transferred to the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee and the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee. People familiar with the later meeting said folks told a group that the requests were egregious. The operative told Not Us. It's unclear how much Harris is aware of the frustration. Two people close to Harris told Not Us that she told advisors last month that she wanted to spend more money with Black vendors and organizations on the ground who are doing outreach and get out the vote operations. Telling or saying that you're going to do is a whole lot different than actually doing. Because they say actions speak louder than words. A third person told notice that Harris raised the issue of paying black vendors on GOTV operations early in the campaign when Biden was still on the ticket. But according to people with knowledge, that still hasn't really been prioritized, aka it hasn't happened. Let's just call it down the middle. She is clearly committed to investing in small businesses, but who was responsible for not operationalizing, my goodness, what a word, this in her campaign, said a second vendor. The issue of black vendors not getting equitable pay is not new. In fact, stories pop up every cycle of the neglected firms. Those who spoke to NADA cited President Barack Obama's campaign as an early offender. They didn't build a deep enough bench, said one person who has worked on campaigns for 30 plus years. Hillary Clinton's campaign didn't do much better, though they tried to put more emphasis on making sure some companies were black owned. The pattern changed substantially in 2020 when the pandemic caused campaigns to rely more on advertising, particularly in black markets. But in 2023, that regressed. Even in June of this year, vendors went public with their grievances with the Biden campaign, telling Politico the campaign is missing an opportunity to elevate and invest in a part of the political class that is more reflective of the party's base. It led many who NADA spoke with to label this as a Biden campaign hangover, continued by the holdover aides who Harris kept after the transition. So they're telling you right there that this is nothing new. And I kind of figured that. I kind of alluded to that. I said, I bet you this has been going on for years. This is not a new concept. But if you want to continue to run over there, that's up to you. And the same with the people going to the other side. Y'all ain't faring no better, because y'all got to deal with that. And you got to deal with them dub S's. Wait till y'all see the video I got coming on Sunday. It's a triple P that's going to pretty much lay out what I just said. Before the switch, the then Biden campaign only retained one black-owned vendor to create and place their media for TV and radio for black audiences, Truxton Creative. While white-owned shops like Bully Pulpit Interactive and Gambit Strategies received full contacts this year, Truxton, founded by Terrence Green, has not. The Harris campaign has since added on additional black firms like HIT Strategies, a polling firm, as well as Walton Isaacson, a firm associated with American businessman Irvin Magic Johnson, and Rise Up Media and Marketing Solutions, a media buyer, and All in the Field, a canvassing operation for Georgia and North Carolina. But unlike in 2020, the campaign doesn't have a black-owned direct mail firm on its payroll. The company they are using, Deliver Strategies, also works on behalf of entities like the NAACP and other black-led organizations and black Democrats, including House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries and Senator Raphael Warnock. Still, it's about the same number of black vendors the campaign retained in 2020, a campaign official noted. While operatives applaud more inclusion, at the heart of the issue is the volume of spending with black-owned firms compared to white-owned ones, something they say isn't even close. This will have lasting impacts on black media firms during a cycle where we have raised the most money in the history of a campaign, said the Democratic vendor. Imagine raising all of that money and you still get the short end of the stick. I would demand well, first off, had it been me, I probably wouldn't sent nothing. I'm just being honest with you. But had I did, I would be trying my best to demand a refund. Truxton Creative received just over $3 million from the Biden campaign in 2020, the only spending with them that cycle per disbursement, reports from the Federal Election Commission. Another $45.2 million was spent with Converging Media, a black-owned company, for black media buys during the same period. This cycle, the Biden campaign started buying earlier and spending more. Truxton had taken in just under $13.9 million from mid-2023 to mid-July of this year. After Harris took over in late July, the campaign spent an additional roughly $4.1 million with Truxton for a total of about $18 million this cycle. Because it's a commission-based business, companies like Truxton would only net a small portion of that spending. The majority would go to media companies where the ads are being placed, and some to production. Those figures pale in comparison to the volume of what the campaign is spending with some white-owned firms. Blue Sky Agency, one of those firms, doesn't show up in FEC filings, but an industry source told us that they were paid through an intermediary, Media Buying and Analytics LLC, from mid-August 2019 to mid-July 2020. Media Buying took in about $36.5 million. From the same time span this cycle, media buying got about 76.4 million from the campaign. Since Harris took over, the campaign has spent an additional around 62 million with media buying. The Biden campaign also spent 41.4 million with the bully pulpit between late August and late December 2020. This year, the campaign started buying earlier between late February and mid-July. They already spent over 21.3 million with bully pulpit. After Harris took over, the campaign spent another nearly 17.5 million with bully pulpit. And other markets are receiving attention too. Latino owned firm Connexion has netted about $21 million from the campaign since last August, more than what's been spent with Truxton so far. One change this election cycle, operatives say, is the campaign is asking minority businesses to pitch constituency work, which inherently limits their ability to make money in comparison to white-owned firms that pitch for the general market, a pseudonym for typically white audiences where voters of color could also be impacted. But some TV ads made by vendors of color do also run in the general market. There's always going to be an oversized difference between two companies like that, which is unfortunate. And since Harris joined the market, the campaign has added white-owned firms like AL Media Strategy and Magnus Pearson Media. Nada's reached out to Connexion, AL Media Gambit, Bully Pulpit, Walton Isaacson, and Truxton Creative, who did not respond to requests for comment. Nadas was not able to find contact information for media buying or Magnus Pearson Media. Two people close to the campaign have said that folks has argued that a white-owned firm with a black principal or associate assigned to the account should carry the same weight as a black-owned firm. The campaign has asked other black-owned companies to build decks and pitch their constituency work and present it in meetings, only to be ghosted and eventually hear through the grapevine that it went to another non-minority firm. One vendor who worked for the Biden campaign in 2020 and received nothing but good feedback first engaged the campaign to talk about returning last fall. They weren't told until late this summer that they wouldn't be hired, derailing their ability to take on other clients because of the legal requirements of a presidential campaign. This is some interesting stuff right here. Now, I bet you any amount of money, CNN, MSNBC, and all of those is not going to talk about this. Shoot, I don't even see it floating on X. Fox, the architect of Warnock's statewide campaign, took over the full paid operation after the transition to Harris, a responsibility once under longtime Biden aide Mike Donnellan. Fox previously helped manage the campaign's relationship with black media. He has told campaign officials to walk back money already promised to black vendors, according to an email reviewed by Not Us. And once Harris took control of the campaign, he declared that our strategy has changed and fewer resources could be spent in the black community because the candidate herself is, well, what they said. According to two people familiar, Harris has repeatedly said there shouldn't be an assumption about her having black support. During the transition from Biden to Harris, the campaign was dark on black voter radio and TV ads for 4 weeks concerning people close to the campaign. General market ads went back up around a week after the transition. One source told Nadas that the campaign plans to place nearly all of its ads buys this month in the general market. Constituency markets, including Black, Latino, and Asian, would account for just a small part of the ad buys. Now it's crazy. They lumped Black people with Latino and Asian, but they let the PC audience or the PC market literally stand on its own. But it's not just black operatives who see warning signs. Uh-oh, here it goes. So we went through this whole article for them to talk about what's going on with the black operatives. Now we got to include what's going on with everybody else because apparently they're going through something too. He said it's white and Latino aides as well. Recently, Latino staffers pushed back internally on the campaign after it was suggested that less money could be spent on outreach, according to a source familiar with their efforts. One person familiar with the conversation said O'Malley Dillon sided with the staffers. This back and forth proceeded in the announcement that the campaign aimed to boost Latino support with a $3 million radio ad buy, ultimately for those operatives of all races. who Harris wants to be successful. The question comes down to this, said a third consultant. Who are you trusting to tell the story of the vice president? So that's the entire article right there. I know it was a bit lengthy, but I wanted y'all to make sure that y'all heard all of that. I know someone going to say it in the chat. There goes Torian typing again. All right, so I put the link in the StreamYard chat. It says, and next to it, it says Kamala Harris. So if anybody would like to come up and speak to this, feel free to go ahead and do so. All I can say is that I'm just simply the messenger. I can't sit up here and tell you who to and who not to vote for at the end of the day. So if anybody would like to come up, please do so. Excuse me. While going on.
What's up, Torian? What's up, everybody in the chat? I remember hearing about this story a couple of weeks ago. Well, another podcaster talked about this, and he was like, he thought it was funny, which it was funny because it's like you doing all this stomping for this woman, Roland Martin, and you ain't getting no money. So you out here shilling for free. How do you shill for free? I don't understand it. I would never. It couldn't be me.
Attention is the new currency. Well, I won't even say it's the new currency. It's been around for quite some time.
And now they realize, I'm like, bro, you out here doing all this stuff for this woman. You can't even get an interview. She won't even come interview with you. She interviewed with all the smoke. She didn't want to come interview with you.
Yeah, speaking of that, I mean to cut you off. I have to go back and listen to KG's playback of that, because when he went live this morning, I was getting ready to do my workout. So I got to go back and listen to it. By the time I got done with my workout, he had people up on the panel to speak, so I missed it. So I got to go back and listen to that.
I got to do it too because I was at work. But I think from what I was also reading about, her support system, because like they talked about Black. Okay, cool. So her support is at 82% right now, if I'm not mistaken. But Biden's was at 92, so that's like a 10-point difference. He only got 87% of the vote, of the Black vote. Trump got 12%. So let's say in a scenario she's at 82 and the same numbers happen again. So basically she's only going to get 70% of the vote. She's not going to win. Mm-hmm. She won't win if she gets that, because it's 89% 50 and up, and it's 75% 50 and under, which they need that number to be up to 90. That's a big drop off from where the older folks at to the younger folks. Shout out to to us younger folks. No disrespect to the older folks in the chat. And then, like, they also trying to replace, like you also mentioned Latinos.
Yeah.
Her numbers with them is piss poor. I just saw it's like at 54%. Trump is at 40. And that's who y'all trying to replace us with them. They're not even coming out to vote for you. They don't even care about y'all like that. I kind of find that hilarious. But she's going to air, I'm telling you, Torian, November 5th is coming faster and faster every day. And good God Almighty, it's going to be a glorious day. So I'm going to go ahead and land my plane there. B1.
Hey, Troy, I just saw you pop up in the chat. In order to get the link, you have to click at the top and join the Discord, and the link is in the StreamYard server. I don't drop the link in the chat anymore. There's a reason why. I wish I could, but something happened and like I can't do it anymore. So like I said, if y'all are in the Discord, I already posted it up there and I put everyone down. So if anyone wants to come up and speak to this topic, feel free to go ahead and do so. I'll probably keep this going until about 7-ish. I want to see if anybody else is coming up. What's going on, Cosmo? And shout out to the 320 people that is here so far. Well, here in the chat right now. Make sure if you haven't done so already to hit the like button. Speaking of, wait till y'all see tomorrow's video. And if I didn't have a training to do tomorrow, the live that I had, the video that I have for y'all tomorrow, the live would have happened tomorrow, because it would have lined right up with the video that I'm bringing to y'all tomorrow. But because I have a training tomorrow, I can't do it, so y'all won't get that live until Friday. So after today, that'll be the next time I go live. What's going on Sunken One? Denise said, Torian, you know I love you, but hell no, not today. Hey, I feel you. I know you want to keep yourself at bay with this particular topic. Well, maybe you'll have the strength and energy for the one on Friday. Yeah, the one on Friday. Patricia said Harrison the Democrats are in for a rude awakening come November the 5th. Well, we shall see. Like I said, we are a little over a month away until then. And I think the vice president debate is this evening. So I think KG is supposed to be going live with that. That should be interesting. That should be very interesting. All right, we got our next person up here. Jay, the informant. What's going on? That picture is crazy.
Bruh. Yo, I thought I was in the live stream, but I was on another stream. That's kind of yeah, confusion on my part. I was wondering why it wasn't popping up. So anyway, going back to your I'm fixing stuff over here. So going back to your stream. So I actually love the fact that you have all these black people. We've been seeing Roland Martin doing it for the longest. They're out here screaming, we're not getting enough AdSense, we're not getting enough money, we're not getting enough I guess whatever you want to call it. And they've been singing this song for the longest, but they knew this. And the reason that Roland Martin isn't even a factor into getting more money or people like him is because the people that they advertise or they promote the Democratic Party to is the people that's already going to vote for the Democratic Party. So why would you want to give money to Roland Martin when you can go give money to people who have an audience of independent voters who you need to get their vote instead of the people that he's pandering to, which they're already going to vote Democrat. So I'm not going to give my money to you, who's people who are going to vote Democrat. I need to get the people that's not going to vote Democrat. So while they're crying about we're not getting enough money, they're not getting enough money because they're not appealing to the other people who are not going to vote Democrat.
And I'm glad you brought that up. And now what I'm about to say has nothing to do with Wet Yam Martin, but one of my subscribers, they sent me this very cringe video yesterday on Instagram of who was it? Al Sharpton. I think he was at some kind of event, with the National Action Network, and he was up there just cutting the Jubilee jig again in front of some people. Like, I'm like, oh my God. It's like it was so cringe when I saw it. I was like, and it was like one of those short videos. I couldn't even get past the 5-second mark before I clicked off of it. It is very embarrassing to say the least.
Yeah. I mean, I don't follow Sharpton, so I haven't seen it. So you gotta repost that because I want to see it. I think this is gonna be very interesting because like these people are complaining that they're not getting enough money. Then at the end of the article, you got to it where they said, "Oh, don't forget about not only the black people, but the white people and the Latinos as well." Of course, they're gonna enter them into the conversation. But the fact of the matter is that these black people, they don't understand that they hold no leverage in the situation. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So why would I give you more money? And
like I said, that's why I kept saying. That's why I mentioned when I was doing a comparison on both sides. That's why I said that both sides do not care about you. Like, you have one side, the side that we just talked about, and you have the other side that I've been talking about. That's why I said I find it. I like to do these commentaries about the shills more than anything because those are the ones that are really being played right now, and they're allowing themselves to be played. And it's like, you can only say so much, but at the end of the day, you're going to be the one that has to get yourself out of the game. but y'all want to continue to play this game that you're not winning. Like you're not winning at all.
100%. And Brother Man said, more money to do what? And that's exactly what I'm saying. You're pandering to the same crowd who's already going to vote Democrat. Why would they give you more money? Bro, I find it funny that Roland is begging for money while you have these other people. I forgot what this little boy name is, but this Gen Z kid, they're giving him money because his mother works for some company and she got him on. Now he advertises Joe Biden out the ass on Tiki Taki. So he advertised him out the you know what, and they pay him, and he's absolutely dreadful because he sounds as stupid as Roland Martin, but he just sounds as stupid as Roland Martin from a white young kid perspective. So it's kind of it's ridiculous, man. And like he'll come out and say, Joe Biden didn't sexually abuse a woman. Joe Biden didn't do this, and I'm like, bro, if you actually look into the facts, the woman who actually accused him, I mean, they don't look into. They have these blinders on where they just see their enemies and they go red, but they don't see the destruction that their party left in the path. Like most people are actually looking for the economic reasons to vote for Kamala Harris, the immigration reasons to vote for Kamala Harris. They're not looking for these constant excuses of, well, I'm in the administration, but that has nothing to do with me. That type of stuff. And furthermore, I actually I'm gonna drop this in the Discord for anybody in the Discord. There was this video I was watching earlier from one of the lost Democrats of the Democratic tribes, this Benjamin Dixon. He went off on Tariq Nasheed. He went off on ADOS. He went off on RBN. He called everybody MAGA supporters that, pretty much he called Jamal Green. We also had Jamal Green run up on Roland Martin. He called everybody in this group who doesn't support Kamala Harris misogynist bigots who are MAGA supporters. And he brought some little doctor on. I forgot who the doctor name was. Damn, I wrote anyway. So he brought some little doctor on, and they went off talking about, if you don't like Kamala Harris, you don't like Malcolm X, you don't like Cheryl Chisholm, you don't like this person. I'm like, what? Like, bro, like just because you're from Jamaica doesn't make you black. You know what I'm saying? But their whole argument is pointed in that fact. And Benjamin Dixon, who's a known degenerate, and he lost his job at TYT because they found another black man, Dr. Ritchie, that can do it better. He's a known degenerate, by the way. He lost his job because he couldn't give the black vote over to the Democratic Party, and he's a sellout. I had to say that, man. Benjamin Dixon is a freaking sellout, man. But that's all I want to say.
All right. Appreciate you for coming up. Shout out to Jay the Informant. Next up, we got True Royal. What's going on?
How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Well, I live in Campbell country.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been consistent in what I've been saying about Campbell and her record up here in California. So I try my best, because I'm like boots on the ground. It's always good I always like to listen to people that actually, are in a particular state and actually really, really know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And she's not getting the support that people think that she's getting.
Oh, we already know.
Yeah, up here. But what the sad part is, the supporters.
Yes.
I often talk about the enemy, and we know who the enemy is, and then I call them the enemy supporters, and the enemy supporters are the worst. So we got the Roland Martins out here and everything, and we even got our own wanting us to ignore people, a person's true character,
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's important to have channels like yours that really have those hard conversations and lay it out. You're not trying to sway nobody one way or the other. I often say, like on my channel, wherever the story lands, it's going to land. It may not land in even the favor that I want it to land, but I appreciate you, Taryn, where you just laying it out, and it lands where it lands. And you may not like the way it looked, but they can't say that you just putting out any old misinformation. I remember this one girl had made a big comment on the channel about you, me, and Lisa, and she said that she went and fact checked us. Now think about this: we're being fact checked, and
Yeah.
said that we are truthful and consistent because we do the research, and it's just
Mhm.
pathetic that you out here pandering, you out here begging for money and all of that, and we already know what's gonna happen. It's like somebody had made the assumption that I wanted Trump to be voted in. I don't vote at all.
Mhm.
I don't want Trump there or Campbell there at all. And I know what she gonna do. Absolutely nothing. She said she wasn't gonna do nothing. You have to respect what comes out of a person's mouth. You have to respect people's actions when you look at their records and everything like that. Respect that. And then they're gonna jump up and say they're gonna do something different. When you ask her a direct question, is word salad, double talking, and all of that. Both of them are not saying nothing. So then you want to switch the narrative and say, okay, let's look at Trump. We already know what Trump is about. He displays it a day in and
Mhm.
day out. You can't keep riding that. You saying that he ain't. She said that he just assassinate people's characters and everything. But what the hell are you saying? What is your record about? It's the same. I keep saying you're gonna keep getting the same thing
The
at the
definition of insanity.
yeah. There you go. There you go. And the thing that I love is that our folks. This is why it's important to have the new black media that we have became very well versed in politics. And the reason why we're so well versed is because we get nothing out of it at the end of the day. You know what I often wonder, Taryn, and I cannot find the data on it.
Mm-hmm.
How much money does these parties spend? What is the percentage that they spend to campaign to us? You know,
Good question.
yeah, I always wonder about that because we know that they're gonna run to the churches and
The
that same
barbershops. Don't forget the
yeah
barbershops.
that same old. But that's something that I've been kind of looking for. So I'm just kind of putting that out there, even to our because we run the same circles, even our people that subscribe to our channels. If y'all find anything like that, email it to any of us because we share emails back and forth behind the
Yeah.
scenes. I like to know what is the percentage that they spend to campaign to the black community. That would be very, very, very interesting and everything like that to me. So it's the same old. At the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to watching the debate. It's nothing more than a form of entertainment to me. At the end of the day,
Right. Right. Because I don't.
That's
Because I don't. I don't. Because I don't expect much. I
no,
really
no,
don't.
no, no, no. We already know pretty much how it's gonna come out and all of this stuff, and it's just they out there just performing for us and seeing who can tell the best lie
You.
and all
Oh,
of
I'm
that.
glad. You know, it's funny you bring that up when we say we're former entertainment. I'm not even gonna lie. If they bring up, if they bring up to JD Vance, why did you lie about the Haitians eating the dogs and eating the cats? Why did you lie about that? If they do that,
Mm-hmm.
I am going to laugh so hard just at the questioning because I want to see if he's going to give the same response that he gave when he was asked that question by that anchor on CNN. I forgot her. I think Dana Bash, when she asked him like, "Why did you like?" But you said that you like. Why did you do that? I want to see if he's going to give the same response
Mm-hmm.
tonight that he gave her. And his and I'm just paraphrasing what he said. That he had to make something up in order to try to get America. It was I can't even
Yeah, no,
paraphrase it because it was so dumb.
you pretty much saying it because I watched the interview a couple of times and he was basically how he was saying it, and I'm not saying it verbatim. It was like, well, we have to come with such extremisms or tell these lies to wake America up at having basically saying illegal immigrants there. But when you do the actual research like we do in that particular little town, they literally beg for them Haitians to come because, and this is what it all boils down to. When you start closing down schools you lose federal dollars. And they needed those federal dollars to come back into that little town. And that's why they wanted to have those umpteen Haitians and stuff to come in, because it started stimulating the economy. Think about that. That's why I keep saying gentrification does not work, because what happens in gentrification, those people usually are not producing, and they start closing down these schools, because they were doing it up here in California. They'll start closing down a number of schools, and families are moving where it's more affordable, and most of the federal dollars shift at the end of the day. And that's what happened in Springfield, because they had to stimulate the economy. I mean, things were shutting down left and right. To hell with the businesses. It was about them federal dollars coming in at the end of the day.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's just amazing, the lies that come out. But this stuff literally is literally a form of entertainment. I've been watching umpteen videos when Campbell has said that the people was walking out at the rallies, and I don't watch the videos that mainstream media is putting out. I watch the videos that some everyday person then put up on their channel or they
that they record. That they recorded on their phone, like people who was actually there.
Yeah, because they asked this one lady, this dude was filming people. He said, "Why y'all leaving? Why y'all leaving?" You hear this Trump just saying any old thing. And this one lady said, "Well, I got to go to work." And then, like in Arizona, people was out there in that damn heat. He always late. He don't have no consideration for nobody's time. And people was passing out and everything. And you out there in 100 plus heat. I just, because I come from Arizona, I just talked to my aunt, and we in October, and they like 115 or some mess like that in Arizona. And up here in California today, and I'm in up the northern part, and this is kind of unusual for us. It's 100 degrees today up here. This is very unusual for us. Very, very unusual. So I can't wait. I can't wait for your live to come back on after this debate. I'm just looking.
I'm not going live for this. Like I said, I'm gonna be over there in Kid Gravity's chat, because I know he's supposed to be going live, and that's where I'll be watching.
That's where you'll be. Okay.
I'm gonna tell you right now. If it wasn't for KG doing the streaming of this debate, I wouldn't entertain it.
Okay, I got you.
So that's most likely where I'm gonna be at.
I got you. So anyhow, Taryn, thank you as always doing for what you do, my king. I just appreciate you for your leadership in our community and everything. You have been very consistent. I really appreciate you.
I appreciate you too.
All right, Ashe to the royal family.
All right. Shout out to True Royal for coming up, and we are going to end the stream on that note. Shout out to everybody who came through. Shout out to everybody who contributed. Also, shout out to We Next, aka DSB, because he gifted 5 more memberships. So let me get the drop for that.
Welcome to the brotherhood.
I appreciate it. Shout out to everybody that came through, all of the mods, all the members, everybody a part of the replay gang, everybody on Instagram, X, in the Discord. I appreciate each and every one of you. Like I said, the next time I'm gonna go live will be on Friday, because that's going to be the next time I'll be available to go live. But of course, y'all will be getting the videos tomorrow and so on and so forth. But tomorrow's video, I'm gonna be talking about that Fearless Fund. Yes, and Ed Blum. I got some words for that dude. I really do. I can't stand that dude. I cannot stand Ed Blum, but that's going to be the topic tomorrow. So be sure to be on the lookout for that one. I'm going to put the premiere window up after I get off of this live. But with that being said, y'all enjoy the rest of your evening. Be safe and be well.